Welcome to the B-Max Sports Podcast.
Angel, we got 30 minutes for the rest of our lives. 30 minutes for the rest of our lives.
Make sure to subscribe on all platforms.
Let's be great. Let's be great.
Hope you enjoy the show.
Good morning, boys and girls, and ladies and gentlemen of all ages. Today is that day. Another episode of Tate and Josh in the morning. Josh, how was your day, brother?
It was good, man. Got to get up, go to work, and just make that grind, baby. Trying to make a little bit of cash.
And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. I did much of the same today, Josh, as you can confer. Hot as balls in that plant, but we're still chugging along. Okay, so first order of business, let's recap UFC 250. I think I actually do have our picks here. Let's see. I did some good work. That's DraftKings, which I did make a little money on DraftKings. Shout out to DraftKings. Raggedy bitches. Can't take money from a real one. I'm winning money off y'all. Did I not write down our picks? I'm pretty sure I did somewhere. Hold on, give me just a second. Okay, yeah, here we go. All right, Neil Magny. Did he win? I think he won. I picked Neil Magny, you didn't. Aljamain Sterling won. I picked Aljamain Sterling, you picked Sandhagen. We both picked Rafael and Sunsao, so we both missed that one. And we both picked Amanda Nunes. We both got that one right, of course. And we both picked Sean O'Malley, both got that one right. All right, let's recap it real quick. There's a couple of fights that stand out on this card. Man, it ended up being a great card. It really did. It was a great night for the bantamweight division. Now we pretty much know how that's going to play out. It looks like Aljamain Sterling's going to be fighting Peter Yan for the vacant belt. But Cody Garbrandt, in his post-fight interview, said he wanted to see a bracket, which I wouldn't be opposed to. I think that'd be amazing. But then, even then, like with the two people fighting for the title, Cody Garbrandt feels like he's on the outside looking in. When you put four people in it, there's going to be that fifth person that's like, hey, motherfucker, I should be in this tournament. No matter how many people are in this tournament or whatever Cody Garbrandt's idea is, somebody's going to be left out. So let's talk a little bit about the card itself, and I'll start with Cody Garbrandt. He looked like a totally different fighter on Saturday. Looked really composed, didn't get in there and try to have a street fight with anybody. He looked calculated, chopped the legs a little bit. I don't know what the hell he was doing, laying down on the ground and kicking the dude in the leg. It looked weird, but it was effective. And when he's down there, he can't get taken down, for one, because the fighter's like, what the hell's going on? Two, he can't get knocked out, hardly. I mean, he could, I guess, but. And three, he's chopping the leg. And I think he was setting up something definitely other than what he knocked him out with. I think he was trying to set something up for later on in the fight to knock him out, but he knocks him out right at the end of the second round, and he threw one from the fucking bleachers, dude. Did you see that knockout, Tate?
I did. I actually didn't watch the fights that night, but I did watch some recaps from on Snapchat and on YouTube and stuff like that. So I did get to see most of the ends of all the fights, and he came out to play ball, man. I mean, it was a fairly spectacular performance.
Yeah, he was. I honestly think he was winning the fight at the time, even though they had the significant strikes way in favor of Rafael Sunsao. I beg to differ. I think Cody was pushing the pace. Cody landed the better shots. Cody looked better, had control of the octagon more. I think he was winning the fight. But regardless, right before the bell, into the second round, he caught him clean and unconscious he was. Knocked him out so hard, he tried to stand up. His legs still weren't working. Like 30 seconds later, he was out for a good, didn't know where he was at for a good minute and a half. And you really don't see that in UFC fights hardly ever. But that just shows you how clean of a knockout it was. Next on my list to talk about Sean O'Malley. This guy is fucking elite. Anybody who tells you any different doesn't know what they're talking about. And now I think Sean O'Malley is really pushing for this Cody Garbrandt fight, and I like that matchup. That's going to be a stand-up and let them motherfuckers fly fight. Well, Cody Garbrandt likes to throw He did show flashes of some technique and stuff like that, but I think technically speaking, from the technical aspect of it, I think Sean O'Malley's a far superior striker. Cody Garbrandt's probably got a little more power. But I really like Sean O'Malley, man. And Cody Garbrandt used to be my favorite bantamweight, but I think Sean O'Malley's taking his place now as my favorite bantamweight.
That's going to be a street fight.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
straight up, it's going to be a
Sean O'Malley
street fight.
is so technical. I don't think he's going to get in a street fight with him. He reminds me of Conor McGregor. He does the way his movements are so unorthodox, but he's flowing all together. It looks so fucking smooth. It's like watching a poetry in motion. He's really, really good at striking. What we haven't seen from him is his ground game, and I think if he fights Cody Garbrandt, we're not going to see his ground game again. But if he was to get up there into the title fights with Aljamain Sterling, who's probably the best grappler in that division, in my opinion, you could see that take effect. They say his jiu-jitsu is good, but until you using the octagon, I can't be 100% sure. I can't confirm nor deny that. So,
well, I mean, once you start getting up into your elite of the elite of the bantamweight, and start fighting these guys who have been at it for a couple years. Obviously, he hasn't been forced to use any jiu-jitsu. He hasn't been forced to really go to the ground at all. His striking is just spectacular. And like I said, when I say it's going to be a street fight, I think it's just going to go in and they're just going to be banging, dude. I really think it's going to be they're just going to go in and be banging. And Sugar, dude, he's just freaking nasty. There's no way around it. Like you said, just how unorthodox he is, but how he pulls it all together and just makes it flow is amazing. Because I've gone back on YouTube and was watching some of his other fights, and he just acts like he shows it in every fight that he feels like he's in complete control.
Right, he's a walking human highlight reel. The dude is disgusting, and that makes for exciting fights, which makes us as fans buy the pay-per-views, tune in on the fight night cards. I mean, if he gets scheduled against Cody Garbrandt, which I think would be a bad matchup for Cody Garbrandt, because one, you've lost 3 of your last 4 fights by knockout, and you're fighting a knockout artist who just knocked out Eddie Wineland. I mean, knocked him fucking stupid. And he's one of the, I mean, he's on the hottest streak probably in the bantamweight division right now, just knocking people out and making it look easy. And if he keeps knocking people out, he can fight 3 more times this year, easy. He can fight again probably in August, knock somebody out then, fight again in October, and fight again in December, fight every 2 months. And that would make him a lot of money, which I think he stayed in Vegas for an extra day on Sunday to sit down with the UFC and discuss his contract and discuss his future with the company. And the UFC, they're good at business, so they're going to pay the guy. No doubt about it. They definitely don't want this guy leaving. Let's move on. Amanda Nunes, dominant once again, destroys Spencer, man. Good God. At some point, these corners need to learn when to hold them and when to fold them, buddy. There was no chance she was going to win that fight. After the 4th round, I was like, please, God, don't let her come back out. Sure enough, here she comes. And she lasted all 5 rounds. What a warrior she is. So hats off to her, but Amanda Nunes looked dominant as ever. I don't think anybody's fucking with her in the women's division, regardless of weight class. So it'll be interesting to see what Dana White does with her next. I don't really see a fight that's intriguing to me for her that I can get excited about.
She did exactly what we knew she was going to do. She went in there, controlled the mat, dominated, and didn't ever let up from what I saw. I mean, it was, like I said, I didn't watch the whole fight, but I did see highlights, and she just kept coming. And every time she fights, it's spectacular.
Yeah, she's on another level, man, than these other girls. It's ridiculous, to be honest. She's on another level. That's the only way I can put it. There's nobody fucking with her right now. I mean, the only woman I thought had a chance was maybe Chris Cyborg, and she knocked her ass out smooth in the 2nd round. So, and that fight wasn't even that close to me either going into the 2nd round. So, next we'll talk about Aljamain Sterling. He's finally going to get his title shot. He chokes out Sandberg or Sandhagen. Cody Sandhagen, who was on a pretty good hot streak there as well. Chokes him out early in the fight. I mean, he's just an elite grappler. When he gets his hands on you, you can tell he's just stronger than everybody else in that division. So Peter Yan and him is probably what I'm thinking Dana White's going to make next. It'll probably be a month or two before we get that finalized because that's going to be a headliner on a pay-per-view for sure. I can't wait to see that fight. Peter Yan's a bad dude too. Really. I can't wait to see this fight. I don't know who I'll pick. I'll have to do some research. But I like the streak Aljamain Sterling's on. And he's looked phenomenal. And you can tell even when he cuts all that weight, he cuts a pretty big, has a pretty big weight cut, I believe. He looks like he's in phenomenal shape when he shows up to fight, dude. It's ridiculous. So I really like Aljamain Sterling. I'm glad he finally going to get his title shot. The last fighter we're going to talk about is Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper is a 20-year-old, youngest guy on the UFC roster, and it showed this past Saturday. He's really an elite jiu-jitsu guy, but he's not well-rounded. Stand-up could definitely use some work. He's like 6'1", 6'2", fighting in bantamweight, or is it featherweight? I can't remember. He's a lower weight class. He needs to get on a strength and conditioning program, and definitely needs to work on his striking. A lot of kids his age are fighting in the lower promotions and fighting talent that's on their level, and that's where you learn is when you're fighting people on your level. You learn how to beat those people. Your striking improves. But when you're this young, you can improve rapidly. And unfortunately, he got exposed on Saturday night. He fought a dude that was 15-12 and got absolutely – the fight was not close at all. Never. The dude had pretty good takedown defense, was able to keep Chase Hooper off of him and just pick him apart. It wasn't really that close. So, but Chase Hooper, he's going to be good one day. I mean, he's pretty good now. Don't get me wrong. He's in the UFC, but he's going to get better. Just needs to improve. I think probably needs to go up a couple weight classes, maybe even to – he's huge, dude, but he needs to put on some muscle and hire a good striking coach. Maybe Dwayne Ludwig would take him under his wing. That'd be the best one for him. Bang Muay Thai. He produces killers over there. All right, so the last thing we'll talk about with UFC is Hutto actually sent me a link to it, but I had seen it that night on the post-fight press conference. Pretty much right as UFC 250's in and the main event's ending, Conor McGregor tweets out he's retiring. I'm going to let Hutto give you his opinion on this. Do you think he's retired, or do you think we're going to see him again tonight?
Dude, I've thought about this for a while because, like I said earlier, might not be definitely is one of my favorite fighters. Might not be like my number one fighter. I'm the biggest fan of Conor McGregor. I love the way he talks junk, and I love the way he performs in the octagon because we all like to see a cocky person just go in and absolutely dominate because it's somebody to hate. You know what I'm saying? I mean, some people, I don't like Conor McGregor. He just talks too much shit. Like, the guy's a professional fighter. He fights for a living. What do you think he's going to do?
He's supposed to go in there and say, "Yeah, I'll probably lose this fight." He's going to talk shit.
Dude, I've thought about this for a while. I mean, for the past couple of days, and I was just perplexed at how, why he would do this in this time. Like, you come back and you fight Cowboy, and you absolutely dominate. But why would you? I mean, if you're going to come back just to fight Cowboy Cerrone, who is obviously not in his prime anymore, why would you even come back at all? Because it wasn't a big money fight. And not that Conor McGregor's hurting for money. I mean, the dude's wealthy beyond anything I can imagine. So it just, to me, it seems like it's going to be some kind of publicity stunt from what I've pulled and from what I've gathered. Obviously, if you followed Conor on social media, you saw that his family supposedly made him this cake that was like happy retirement. I don't see any reason that he would have came back after he left for such a long time other than his love of fighting. I mean, the dude obviously loves the sport. So the two scenarios that I have kind of gotten this played out is either A, it is some kind of publicity stunt, or B, there is some kind of underlying medical issue that he does not want to release. That's the reason that he's retiring. So that could be a number of things. That could be a benign brain tumor that something in his neurological system, some kind of deal. Obviously, I'm no freaking medical doctor, so I mean, there's probably a bunch of things that could stop him from fighting. But that's the only two things I could think of why he would do it. I really don't. I mean, obviously the man's making a lot of money, but he didn't care to make a lot of money in the first place. He just wanted to freaking fight.
Right. You want me to tell you what I think it is?
Hit me with it.
And this is my opinion, solely my opinion. I think Conor McGregor thinks he can use this as leverage. I think he knows the UFC won't be the same without him, and I agree. I don't think it'll be the same without him. He's one of the pioneers of the trash talking, missed it, Mac. Everybody loves watching. You love watching Conor McGregor, regardless if you love or hate him. You're either watching him to see him get a shit knocked out, or you're watching him to see him put on a spectacular performance. I think he's trying to use this as leverage against UFC and Dana White. I think he really wants this Gaethje fight. I don't think he wants that Khabib and Gaethje fight to happen, and I'll tell you why. Because somebody close to him has said that he doesn't think the Gaethje fight and the Khabib fight will happen. It's supposed to happen in September. Conor McGregor is calling for Justin Gaethje, and he won't see him at the end of July. I think that's a quick turnaround for Gaethje, though. Coming off a big fight. Of course, he cuts weight. We've seen what multiple weight cuts back-to-back can do to you. But I think he's trying to use it as leverage to get that Gaethje fight. That's what I'm thinking. Or leverage to get a fight that he wants. Maybe it's not the Gaethje fight. Maybe it's the Anderson Silva fight. Maybe it's the George St. Pierre fight. A fight that the UFC is not willing to make. So Conor's flexing his muscles saying, hey, I don't fucking need the UFC. You guys are the ones that need me.
Well, and
money.
It could very well be because, I mean, we all know Conor McGregor is the money fight in the UFC right now. He is the money fight. I mean, I don't care who he's fighting. It could be some backwoods dude from the holler that's been sitting there training jiu-jitsu in his bathtub for 6 months. If he's fighting Conor McGregor, it is a money fight.
Absolutely.
And so if what you're saying is true, he's got leverage because the UFC don't make the mistake thinking that Dana White, even though through all his success, doesn't want that money. That man wants the money. He will do whatever it takes to make money. So I don't see Dana trying to make if this is what you think it is, I don't see Dana trying to make an example out of him, being like, oh, I'm Dana White, I call the shots around here. Money, dude, that green stuff talks. And if we can get a legit fight, because the Khabib Conor fight, round 2, is going to be a massive, massive money fight. It's going to bring so much money. I think Khabib Gaethje would bring a lot of money. I mean, not Khabib Gaethje. Conor Gaethje would bring a lot of money. So,
like you said, Conor, anybody's gonna bring money.
I think, honestly, Conor needs at least one more fight before he takes on Khabib. I really do.
I think so too,
obviously he showed out with the Cowboy fight, but like we said, Cowboys, as hard as it is for me to say, because I've been a Cowboy fan for a long time, he's getting washed up. He's getting old. We're not going to see much of him anymore. So to me, he can't just walk in, beat the hell out of Cowboy, and then expect a title fight. That's not it's not going to happen.
Well, I agree with that, but do you think Conor agrees with that? I don't.
Oh, Conor doesn't agree. Conor agrees. Conor assumes that he should just step back into the octagon when he comes out of retirement, and they should just hand him the belt, because in Conor McGregor's head, he is the baddest man in the UFC.
Regardless of weight division.
Yeah, regardless of weight division.
From his own words, he said that before, is the reason I pointed that out. Yeah. Regardless of weight division, I'm the money fight in the male division in all this shit.
Well, I mean, and he wasn't wrong, because he is the money fight.
No, absolutely, he was right.
So I just, like I said, there's an underlying reason behind this. This isn't just that he was like, you know what, I'm enjoying my life, see ya. That's not what this is. There's some kind of underlying reason behind this. And like you said, it could be he's just trying to pull some muscle on Dana. You never know. But just expect to see Conor McGregor back in the octagon. For all you McGregor fans, don't be all
Woo!
upset and
That's
sad.
me, baby.
He's coming. He's coming back. There,
Absolutely.
I don't see a world where Conor McGregor, as cocky and arrogant as the man is, just decides to leave off of kind of easy fight for him. So I just don't see him not going out with a bang. Now, if he went in and knocked out 3 world beaters in a row and gets the belt and says, "Holla, I'm retiring. I'm already worth a couple $1 million. I've got my liquor company. I've got his other endeavors, his clothing brand." I could see that if he just goes in there and just dominates his weight division. I could see that. But this, that's not Conor McGregor.
Right. And I think a lot of it is timing right now. There's not a fight that really makes sense for him. And I said that a couple episodes ago. There's not a fight that makes sense for him. And Conor's a guy, might be the most ADHD person I've ever met in my life. Or I haven't met him, but ever seen in my life. He gets real bored easy. You've seen him dominate the featherweight division, knock out Jose Aldo, get the fucking belt. What he worked for his whole life, never defending it. He's like, I'm bored with the fucking featherweight division. I'm going to go try to fight Nate Diaz now at 170. Loses, becomes obsessed with winning that. Once he wins that back, then he's like, well, fuck, I want to fight for the 155 belt. Gets that, and then fucking, we don't hear from him again for 2 years. I mean, I think, and then he tries boxing. I mean, I think he's a little ADHD and he's impatient. So if I'm Conor McGregor, I know at the beginning of the year I said I'm fighting 3 times. But if there's not a fight that makes sense for me right now, he could go fight Max Holloway again at 155. But what does he gain from that? I think he's next in line after Gaethje and Khabib, no matter what. If he was to lose to Max Holloway, he has everything to lose and nothing to gain in that situation. So I understand him if he wants to take a step back and watch how the shit plays. Stay in your training camp because we know, especially Khabib's little fucking weasel ass loves to pull out of fights. He's fucking struggles to make 155. He's had multiple times where he couldn't make the weight and had to be hospitalized and couldn't fight. Stay ready and train for Gaethje. And when Khabib pulls out, you go in there and steal the fucking show. And then, look, you're back on top of the world.
Well, and I mean, you mentioned the fight with Floyd Mayweather. That was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Because I'm also here in the last couple of years kind of got into boxing because obviously it's boxing's kind of taken the back burner until you see your people like your Tyson Furies and guys like that, Anthony Joshua, people like that are coming out and they're really making it exciting again. I don't know any of those guys that could go 10 rounds with Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather is the best boxer in history. And this dude who's never really done any boxing in his life steps in the ring for the first time and runs 10 rounds with him. And now some people will say, well, Floyd just let him. Floyd just played with him the whole time. It wasn't if he wanted to put him out within the second or third round, he could have done it. No. Dude, Conor McGregor is an absolute animal. And when you switch sports like that and you get into the ring with the best, I mean, the dude's got a 50-0 record with the best, and you go 10 rounds with him, dude, get out of here. This dude's a freak athlete. He's not just going to give that up to go sit at home. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't either. All right, moving on. Did you see what? Do you pronounce his name Colin or Colin Powell? I think it's Colin.
Right? I don't know for a fact, but I've always said Colin Powell or Colin. No, I've said Colin Powell. That's what I.
Okay. So, did you see what he said about Trump? I know it made headlines last week sometime. Did you see it?
About he's throwing the Constitution away?
Yeah, that's exactly what I got written down right here. Colin Powell says Trump has drifted away from the Constitution.
Dude,
do you have any insight on what the fuck he may be talking about? Because I don't have a clue.
Here's what absolutely pisses me off y'all might hear me drop an F-bomb here in a second because this shit makes me extremely mad. These people, Colin Powell included, Mitt Romney, these so-called conservatives, rhinos, I texted somebody the other day. We were having the conversation. He texted me and said Bush endorsed Biden, and the Bush he was talking about was George W. He endorsed Biden, and I told him he was acting like he was surprised, and I texted him. I said because we had this conversation about these Rhino Republicans a couple days before. And I texted him. I said, "What did I tell you the other day? Bush is a piece of shit." These people who have been called themselves conservatives don't care about the American people at all. They don't want real success for the American people. They will not put their reputation in Washington online for what's best for us. And it's because the Washington money pipeline never dries up. No matter whether you're a president, a ex-senator, an ex-congressman, it just never dries up. Once you get into that position, once you are ingrained into what Donald Trump calls the swamp, that is a direct line to K Street and a direct line to all the money you could ever want. And then all the power you really want because you have the ears of people on K Street. So this doesn't surprise me whatsoever. And if Colin Powell has an issue and actually has proof that Donald Trump is getting away from the Constitution, I want to see it. Because I don't want a president who is just crumbling the Constitution up and throwing it the fuck away. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. Well, and I take that, I say nobody wants that lightly. Because there's been multiple times where there has been people in Congress who aren't on my side who acts like they just piss all over the Constitution. They call for gun control every friggin' day. That pisses all over the Constitution. They want to censorship us online. That pisses all over the Constitution. They want to be able to tell us where we can and can't worship and when we can and can't. You've seen that throughout this whole damn COVID-19 shit. And you want to sit here and come at me and tell me that Donald Trump is just destroying the Constitution? No, get the hell out of here. You can sit here. I could sit here all day and say, Tate King does such and such and such. But just because I say it,
wow.
Tate King does meth. But just because I say it doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it puts no weight behind my accusation. If Donald Trump really is breaking the law, if he really is just absolutely crumbling up the Constitution and taking away the rights of the American people, hell, I want to know about it. But all these fake accusations, all of the fake sexual assault charges, all the charges of him taking bribes and Russia helping him get the election, all this stuff. We went through a 2-year damn process of investigating this shit, and you still hear about it today. So, and Robert Mueller was supposed to be their god. He was supposed to be this man who had no bias. And he comes out 2 years later after wasting $42.7 million of the taxpayers' money and comes out and says, oh, we ain't got nothing. And you say that you had the best investigative team, you had the best lawyers, you have some of the smartest people in America on that thing, and you have an investigation for 2 years, and you don't come back with jack shit after spending $43.7 million of the American taxpayers' dollars? No. Dude, get out of here. So don't sit here and tell me that my president is destroying the Constitution when I haven't seen, and I follow everything Donald Trump does. Don't sit here and tell me that my president is destroying the Constitution when you trample on it every day.
Right. I read the article, honestly, and it sounded like a bunch of bullshit. Like they were beating around the bush. They never gave any specific examples of him trashing the Constitution. So I figured you'd have a little bit to say about it. And I like how you went on a rant there. I fucking loved it. It made me glow inside that you feel so strongly about this. We all should.
And like I said, I don't care. Look, my ties to Donald Trump would not make me turn a blind eye to something that I don't agree with. There's been stuff that Donald Trump has done, like banning bump stocks. Did not agree with it. And if I was in the president's ear, I'd let him know. But obviously, I'm not in the presidency here because I'm just some podunk dude from Dublin, Georgia. But I
Yeah,
mean,
we won't be working urgent, buddy.
there's stuff that I don't. Some things I didn't agree with that Trump did, but none of it was illegal. None of it. I haven't seen anything that he's done that has been anywhere out of the way, especially on the level of Barack Obama, who sent billions of friggin' dollars, 150 to be exact, overnight on a pallet, 150 billion dollars in a Air Force plane under the secrecy of night into a foreign enemy's tarmac to give them money. That sounds like that's unconstitutional. That sounds like treason to me. But you didn't hear shit about it. You won't hear nothing about it. Nobody will care because it was Barack Obama, the golden child of the people. And so don't do if you have legit evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime or committed treason, let me know because I want to know because I don't want to vote for a treasonous guy for president. But until then, dude, sit down. Give me evidence. Don't sit here and give me accusations because accusations don't mean shit. This is America, baby.
Hell
Innocent
yeah.
until proven
America.
guilty. We
Damn
don't.
right.
You don't just come out with some accusations and we go hang the dude. Don't happen that way. But they sure think it does.
Yeah, unfortunately they do. Speaking of America, we know one of the hot topics in America right now is the Black Lives Matter movement. There are some people that understand it, and there's still people that don't understand it. Me, for one, it took me longer than I'm proud to say to realize the injustices going on in America, and there are injustices. There's still prejudice. Our judicial system fails Black people, especially. They fail us all, really, and we could really use reform there. I'm a strong activist for justice reformation. It's sad that we still have innocent people in prison, and like you said, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Sometimes it's really the opposite, to be honest. Um, but speaking of the Black Lives Matter movement, Bubba Wallace, the one black African American NASCAR driver, came out with a car today as I was watching the race a little while ago at Martinsville, and it had a picture of a white arm and a black arm interlocking, shaking hands, and on the side of the car it said Black Lives Matter. And NASCAR made a post about it on Twitter, and holy fuck, some of the comments are absolutely makes me sick. People are really pissed off about this. They were like, when are we going to have a police lives matter? When are we going to have all lives matter? And to a certain degree, I understand what they're saying. But then to another certain degree, it makes me hesitant to, they're not seeing the point that they're not saying all lives don't matter. And it took me a while to understand this too. They're not saying all lives don't matter. They're just putting an emphasis that Black lives, in fact, matter. I mean, we already know all lives matter. That's a given. And they're just making a statement that Black lives also matter. That's, I mean, pretty simple. And NASCAR is a sport that, I'll be honest with you, I've been to some NASCAR races. They don't have a real diverse fan base. So it comes to me as no surprise that people are mad about this. Me, I thought it was fantastic. I think it's great. I think it's great to have more African Americans in NASCAR. I don't think, I'm not saying NASCAR is a racist sport by any means. I just think racing a car, especially around in a circle, is not something that, I don't know how to say it, to be honest. It's not something that a lot of people are gravitated towards anyway. I wasn't until recently. So me being a newcomer to the sport, I think it's a great thing. Now, some people that have been watching NASCAR since the fucking 80s, when Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon, Cale Yarborough, all them old people were racing, it was a different time. And it was predominantly, well, not predominantly, it was completely white, a white sport. And some people are not accustomed to change. Me, I'm open to change if it makes sense. And this definitely makes sense. But NASCAR, it'll be interesting to see how the TV ratings and stuff go like that, because I know a lot of these people that watch NASCAR have been watching it for a while. There's not many people that just say, hey, I'm going to watch these fuckers go in a circle. The reason I started watching it is because of DraftKings. There's nothing else on. and I like to gamble a little bit. And I started watching NASCAR. I'm a Kyle Busch fan, if that tells you anything. Not many people like that guy. He talks a lot of shit and cries a lot, but I love him. What do you think about this, Hudo? What do you think about the car in the race?
Well, I mean, obviously, if NASCAR is okay with it, and because let's get this straight first, and it's the same thing with the NFL or the NBA. They all employ these guys, and I mean, they are Bubba Wallace. All these guys are employees of NASCAR. There's Colin Kaepernick was an employee of the NFL. So if I mean, it's just like if at work, if I have something that I put something on social media and they said, "Hey, we this is not the views of the company. You're a representative of the company. We would like you to take it down." Obviously, they have the power to do that because I am employed by them. So as far as the NFL goes, when they did say, "Hey, the owners have the choice in what they make or if they're going to let their guys sit or kneel during the flag." I mean, it's totally legitimate. As long as NASCAR has no problem with him making political statements on his car, I don't see a problem with it. It To me, what we've seen out of Black Lives Matter in the past couple of weeks, there's a couple of things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I agree we need to be united. I agree that we need to come together, and whether we're black, white, purple, green, whatever. I mean, we're all Americans at this point, and we need to realize that. And here in the past, I'd say the past decade, maybe, um, it's we've kind of lost sight of that. We've kind of lost sight that we're Americans first and foremost. And if you're a citizen of this country, I think we need to support each other and support each other in our endeavors. And if this is something that Bubba Wallace feels strongly about, then we need to get behind him and as Americans. One thing I did not like is that a lot of the Black Lives Matters signs are now saying that no lives matter until Black Lives Matter. I think that's extremely divisive, and I mean that's just my opinion. You can take it as a grain of salt if you'd like to. I think that statement is divisive. I don't think the Black Lives Matter statement is divisive, but when you say that no lives matter until Black Lives Matter, I think that's an extremely divisive statement that does not promote unity. But I mean, obviously, if Bubba Wallace feels strongly about it, I feel like that everybody should be able to put. I mean, if Kyle Busch wanted to put a big old American flag on his car, I don't see why he shouldn't be able to do that. So if Kyle Busch can do that, why shouldn't Bubba Wallace be able to? And I see where, honestly, right now, I'd be guarantee you if Kyle Busch came out with a big flag on the front of his hood, a black flag with a blue stripe down it, they would be raising immortal hell. But who's to say that Kyle Busch can't support the thin blue line? Who's to say that he can't support police officers? Because I do. I support police officers. I'm not down with this movement that all cops are bastards. I'm not down with this defund the police department movement. That's fucking stupid. But this is America. We all have a right to free speech. And if this is how Bubba Wallace gets his free speech out, then I mean, go for it. If this is what brings unity, if this is what brings the people of NASCAR together and gets people thinking about being more diverse, being more acceptive of other cultures, do it. But at the same time, if somebody wants to put a Blue Lives Matter sticker on their car, let them do it. But in this climate today, that NASCAR would not allow it to happen. I'd be willing to bet my left nut on that NASCAR would not allow it to happen. So I think if we're going to let somebody use their platform and put it on their car, even though it's not a sponsorship and it is a political statement, we should also let another guy do what he wants. Not saying, I mean, obviously, I don't know whatever the hell Kyle Busch wants to do. He's probably going to put a picture of his face screaming on his car. Because I mean,
Facts.
so, and
Hell yeah.
and he's one of my. I mean, I'm not a huge NASCAR fan, but I love to see him pitch fits, as we were talking about earlier.
Me too.
I love seeing the dude in sports who is the loudmouth, who is the cocky guy, who does talk shit.
Me too.
But
100%.
at the same time, I just don't. If they're willing, if NASCAR is willing to let everybody put up what they want to, that's fine.
Okay, so that was the point of a lot of people in the comments of this thing. They didn't want to see politics affect their sports. But there has been times in 2016 when Trump was running, there was a car with Trump Pence on it. There was a truck with a governor's name on it. They've allowed these political things for a while, so I think it's fair and and I wouldn't have known that if I didn't do the research myself. I clicked a couple links and was able to fact check the information, and turns out there was a car with Trump Pence on it. So I'm all for it.
Well, I mean, why does anybody have a problem with it? I mean, it's that team's car. They've got their, as long as their sponsors don't have an issue with what they're putting on there.
Exactly.
Raise hell, dude.
Exactly. Put a big set of titties on that car if you want to. I'm down for that for sure. But there were some people that made. I mean, I could see their stance. They didn't want politics in their sport. But then again, these were the people that they're being a little hypocritical because they weren't quick to jump on the Trump Pence car the same way they did these. So I think it's great for NASCAR. I think it's a good look for them for sure. Especially not being very diverse, it's good to see them make a statement with this.
Well, and I don't think we need to say like that NASCAR isn't very diverse by their own choosings. I mean,
Oh no, I'm not saying that.
how many
No.
how many black guys do you know that are just like, dude, I want to go drive a race car around in circles for hours on end?
None actually.
So,
And
I
that's
mean,
what I'm saying. I
yeah.
mean, they're not. It's not. They're choosing that. Hey, if you're black, you're not allowed in this race. You're not allowed to race at all. That's not what I meant. But for whatever reason, NASCAR is not very diverse, and for them to make a stance behind the Black Lives Matter movement, I mean, it speaks volume about the people that run NASCAR. So I think it's a great thing for them. Did you see what's going on in Rome, Georgia right now?
No, I have not.
Holy fuck. The KKK is up there doing marches around the fucking courthouse saying, what did they say? Fuck. I can't remember what they said. They were doing like chants, the KKK's here, like some real fucked up shit, yo. And see, it's these kind of fucktards that make the Confederate flag look bad. And I understand why people don't want the Confederate flag around now. These fuckers are holding it up in the face of people saying on the street, say the KK's back, white power, white. They were saying white power. I know that for sure. What kind of fucking dumbasses are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? What are y'all accomplishing? You're dividing the country further, and you're playing into what the media wants all white people to be portrayed as, and all people that have a Confederate flag. That's what they want you. That's what they're drooling over this shit right now. It's like literally trending on Twitter right now. Rome, Georgia's trending. It's a fucking shame, honestly.
Well,
What do you think about these? I mean, it's definitely their right to do it. I understand that, but they are literally. It's the worst time to do it.
Let me
the bad time to do it.
let me go ahead and say that, like, obviously, I condone this. I don't support the KKK. In the past, when we look at the Charleston situation a couple years ago, where they were having actually a protest against tearing down Confederate monuments, and this so-called white power group came up, and they were out there, and a couple of people got hurt. I think a girl got ran over.
Yeah, I remember that. She did.
Then somebody brought it to the attention of social media that there was a guy, one of the guys with the megaphones who were chanting these racial slurs and things like that. They took a picture of him and they put it side by side by another picture that was a guy from a protest against Wall Street, and they were the same exact guy. And both of these, like this white power protest and this protest, this march on Wall Street, were two different sides of the political spectrum. And then this guy was there protesting, and he had been protesting there, and then he had been protesting in Charleston. So that kind of raised red flags to me about the whole Charleston situation. Is that I've done a lot of reading and things like this. There's been cases where some of these people are just paid to go out and incite riots and incite, even peacefully, just make a scene for the media. So until I do a little more research and see who this group actually is, I I just don't see people, especially in today's climate, just going out and marching in the street dressed as Klans members. I really don't. I mean, obviously, there's some of those people that are still there. I mean, there's people who have hate in their heart, but I mean, these people are few and far from in between, and most of them obviously are going to keep into the shadows, and they're really not going to. I mean, they're going to be in. It's so much easier to be a hateful internet troll than it is to go out and spew hate in the streets. So until I I haven't looked at it until I actually lay eyes on what actually happened and seen the people involved in these situations. It would be interesting to know where this group came from, because we've seen in the past where you have people who are protested, and I mean do not get me wrong, the media loves this. They absolutely love this absolute sham of what's going on right now. They like us being at each other's throats. They don't like seeing unity because it pushes their agenda. So it would be interesting to me to see if these guys are legit Klans members or if it's just some kind of hoax to get more riots incited.
Yeah, see, that's what I said too. I was like, the media is loving this shit, and I never had thought about the fact that it could be a sham until you just mentioned it. So that would make sense. So I'll have to do some more research on that.
And there was actually there was a black guy arrested in Charleston right after those riots, and he had spray painted racial slurs on a black church to make it look like the Klan had been there and they were threatening them. And then video surveillance across the street turned up. Hey, we see this guy, and he's over there just trying to incite. I mean, absolute chaos. So we really have to be careful at what we're looking at. And we just have to try to find the truth. And like I said earlier, come together as Americans and say, "Hey, we're not going to put up with this." And yeah, you might have the right to march in the streets, but just because you're in the streets doesn't mean that you have our attention.
Right. NASCAR was also in the news again today with another interesting rule that they're going to start enforcing at all venues. There will be no more. NASCAR came up with a statement, of course, released an official statement. There will be no more Confederate flags allowed at their tracks or venues. And I understand during this time why they would do such a thing. Some people view the Confederate are on different sides on what the Confederate flag stands for. Some people believe it stands for racism, and I can honestly see that. Since I'm not an African American, I can't understand the pain or whatever you guys see when you see that flag. So if it's offenseful, if it offends you, then I'm sorry, and I probably will never understand it. But if it offends you, you as my brother and as my fellow American, I want you to feel comfortable in your country. If that's what you guys truly believe and feel in your heart, then I'm all for getting rid of the Confederate flag. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm tired of arguing back and forth with people. And I'll never understand. So, and they'll never understand what it means to us. So, I'm all for getting rid of it. I mean, of course, it's going to be in our history, still in museums, stuff of that nature where it belongs. But I'm not saying I agree with taking it, banning it from all events or banning it from being in your front yard. It's your front yard. I believe you should be able to do what you want. But I understand to a certain extent why they would do this. What do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously NASCAR is a privately owned business. I mean, they employ a lot of people. They can make their own decisions. If that's what they feel like is a good business position at this point, I mean, do it. It's your business. The president of NASCAR and the board of NASCAR can do what they want. Uh, I mean, but there's been Walmart actually and Amazon had done the same thing after the Charleston issue where they just said, we're not going to be selling rebel flags anymore. I mean, to each their own. I mean, whether you support it or you don't, that's up to you. But at the same time, someone did an experiment with Walmart. They went to their cake manufacturer, because I mean, a lot of Walmarts do have a bakery, and they asked them if they would make a cake with a rebel flag on there. Though Walmart respectfully declined, and I mean, they can do that. They're a private business. Well, a week later, the same dude walked in and had a picture of an ISIS flag and said, "Hey, can you make this cake?" And they made it. So at some point, you have to make a decision. I mean, you've got. I mean, obviously, everybody in America has a different position about the Confederate flag. I don't think we need to be tearing down statues. I mean, that's a part of our history, whether it's ugly or not. The same thing happened in Nazi Germany. As soon as Hitler rose to power, statues started getting pulled down. They try to, and we can learn from our past, even if it's an ugly past, even if it's something that was shameful and shouldn't have happened. We can still learn from it. And obviously, I mean, I can't speak from everybody's opinion or for everybody's point of view, but I just don't understand where tearing down monuments for of people who did fight in America's bloodiest war, who did lose their lives, who sacrificed something for that they believed in. And I mean, let's go ahead and get this straight. If you do look at your history, yes, slavery wasn't a part of the issue of why the Civil War happened, but it was not the main issue. And anybody who wants to argue that, they're wrong. It was the Civil War was fought strictly over state rights. And yes, one of those state rights that they said was, hey, if we in our state we want to allow slavery, that's our prerogative. We can do that if we would like to, because we are states, and in the Constitution it says states can buck on the federal government. So, I mean, was it right? No, it wasn't right what they were fighting for. But it also wasn't the main issue. There was tons of other issues. If you don't know, go look it up of what some of the reasons that were just. I mean, they were getting taxed. They were not happy with it. The federal government was just kind of overstretching their arm stretching their arm of power over these states, and they weren't happy with it. So before you jump on the wagon and saying, "Oh, we need to tear this down," you need to look into your history and then make your own decision then. Because it's not being taught in schools. It's not being taught in schools anymore. I mean, actual history is not. I mean, there's stuff that gets left out, and then, but it doesn't matter. Obviously, NASCAR can do what they want, and they're a privately owned business. Walmart can do what they want. Bubba Wallace can do what he wants. I mean, it at this point, I think everybody needs to take a stand and say, "Hey, this is what we have decided, whether it's on this side or that side." And I think people just need to say, "Hey, that's their company. They can make their own decision." If some other company says, "Hey, uh, we just want to kind of stay neutral," don't come out here and call these celebrities out and call these companies out. They might have not posted their black screen of solidarity and for Blackout Tuesday. They might have just stayed silent. And I mean, that's okay too. If you just want to sit back and see how things roll out and learn from what's going on in America, because I mean, we're looking at history right now.
Absolutely. Real quick, I just want to give a shout out. Tonight is the 2020 MLB first year players draft. Shout out to all the college kids and high school kids that are getting their lives changed forever tonight. Let me tell you from experience, baseball I've played just about every fucking sport there is, trust me. I wasn't always good at all of them, but I played them and I tried them. Baseball is without a doubt the most unforgiving sport there is, where something as small as a pebble can make a ground ball hit you in the fucking face and take your head off. Where you can foul a ball off and the guy can catch it. You can hit a ball on the fucking tee, line drive, and you're still out at shortstop. So there's no other sport where you can fail 70% of the time and still be a Hall of Famer. It's without a doubt the hardest sport in my opinion. Shout out to these guys who's busted their ass through high school, through their young years, played hours of travel ball, traveled all these miles, and their parents for making sure they got there. Shout out to you guys. Congratulations on your big achievement, and we hope to see you in the big soon. I love fucking baseball. I really do. That's just a little shout out to everybody who's achieving their dreams. It's never out of reach if you put your mind to it. The last thing I want to talk about, Hutto, and this is something I seen probably about 10 minutes before I sent you the invite to this podcast. The PS5. I've seen the prototype, and Microsoft hasn't announced a price for their console yet. I'm sure there'll be many changes. Probably by the end of the summer, probably August, September-ish, we'll get a final price on them. And I know when the Xbox One came out and the PS4 came out, the PS4 was what, $100 cheaper, I believe, and I think that really hurt Microsoft. So I expect them to debut at the same price this time. But right now, from what I'm seeing, the PS4 is going to be $599. PS5 is going to be $599. Are you going to purchase one?
Bro, let me let you hear this statement now, loud and clear. I love PlayStation. I love video games, but I will tell you this: my love for PlayStation and video games does not trounce my love for tightly holding my money to my chest.
Dude, that's
that is just. I mean, to me, cash wins. Whether it's Xbox or PlayStation, to me, whatever doesn't hurt my wallet as much wins, dude.
Yeah, I think they're going to be the same price. I really do. I don't think Sony can afford to go down on the price. I think Microsoft can afford to go down on the price, but I think they're both interested in making profit for sure. So I think they're going to debut. I don't think $599 is what they're going to debut at. I think it's more like $499.
There is absolutely no freaking way that it costs them anywhere near $599 to make that damn thing. There's no way. And I understand capitalism and people have their right to make their money. But geez, man, I mean, if you eventually you're going to mark it up so high that they're going to try to find somebody else to do business with.
Absolutely.
And because I know for a fact, I'll sit there and play my PlayStation that I paid my PlayStation 4 that I paid $299 for. I'll play that until the end of the millennium and won't care because all my $599 will be safely sitting in my bank account where it belongs.
Yeah, that's pretty steep for a console, man. I don't see myself dropping $600. I don't think they're going to debut at that. I'm thinking more around $499 is where I'm thinking. Maybe even less than that. Maybe $459, something like that. Because you got to think when you charge that much for a console, you're eliminating half the fucking United States in the world from being able to purchase it anyway. You want people to buy this. This is an investment for you. You're going to make a little money off of it, but then you're going to make a shitload of money off of it, off all the games, all the online content you're going to sell, your fucking Xbox Live and PlayStation memberships. You want people to buy this shit, so don't make the shit.
Well, and I mean, how much of regular America is walking around with just $600 that they can just throw out for a video game?
Not many.
I mean, there's not that many people who can just say, "Hey, here's a little over half $1,000, and I'm just going to drop it on something that I'm going to play for 2 hours a day." Yeah. Because, I don't play my PlayStation that much during the week. Yeah, I play for about 30, 45 minutes if I feel like it. But it's not worth dropping $600 on by no means.
No. And like I said, as the retailer, you want people to buy this shit. It's an investment for you and the consumer. They're going to spend hours playing it. They're going to explore the online content. They're going to make more purchases. And in turn, you're lining your pockets more. If you can save them a little bit at the beginning, you'll make it back at the end and more. But if you make this shit so pricey where only freaking upper class people can get it, what the fuck? I can't even get one. What are you talking about? Get the fuck out of here. I do a podcast for a living, motherfuckers. I'm broke as hell. Maybe Sony and fucking Microsoft will let me do a comparison to them and let me keep both of them for free, and I'll give you whichever one I don't like as much.
I got you. Hey, I mean, shout out to Sony. Come sponsor our podcast and give us free PlayStation 5s.
Yeah, if
We'll
give
test it for
me
you,
a
bro.
PlayStation 5, I'll shout you out every fucking podcast. I promise. Might even put a banner up in the background when we start doing our video version. Which brings me to the
Yeah.
point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sometime in July, that's what I'm shooting for. Hopefully the first week in July. I don't know if all our equipment will be in by then because some of it is on back order. The mics are on back order. We're going to start doing a podcast from my house live. Me and Huddle will be in the same room. We're going to do video. We're going to have guests. You'll be able to come to my house, my humble abode. Hopefully, if you're a girl, you show us your tits first before we get on air. But if not, we're not going to be mad. Okay,
We're canceled. We're canceled.
Before we get on there, we're not videoing. Fucking everybody can't see that shit. Only the goats, the podcast goats see those kind of tits. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Dude, I'm really excited. And shout out to Tate because, dude, Tate, y'all don't realize I don't do jack for this podcast other than side in. Tate does such a really, really good job editing everything, putting everything together, getting topics because, I mean, you'll hear Tate, Josh, do you have anything you want to talk about? And, I mean, he literally doesn't know because I don't bring much to the table here at BMAX.
Your wisdom and your fucking personality, buddy, and that's all I can ask for.
But I mean, really, shout out to Tate because he does such a great job.
Speaking of the editing and shit, guys, I'm sorry about last week. This fucking software took a absolute shit on us. We lost half of Josh's audio. I'm gonna try to keep it from happening again. Once we get in studio, it will never happen again. I can promise you that. We'll have a separate mechanical recorder. Separate from the video. It doesn't have to be hooked up to Wi-Fi, nothing. You literally hook your mic straight into it, hook it to a power source. You can even run it on battery, so we can do it on the fucking go. We're fucking on the plane to Germany doing a podcast. Fucking talking shit about this stinky, smelly, fucking farting dude that fucking ate 4 plates of beans before he got on the plane. We can do that. That's our fucking right as Americans. We can do that. So, but I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna try to keep it from happening again. No promises. We're only as good as our software right now. Unfortunately, we use a thing called Zencaster. It's been really good, honestly. We used to use fucking when me and Zach first started, we used what the fuck's that shit called? Absolutely terrible.
Skype.
Fucking terrible. Then I thought about using Zoom. I tried it when my mom did a little test run with it. It's shitty too. Fuck that. You have to have absurd internet to make that shit look clear and the audio to sound clear. This is actually pretty good, honestly. For us not being in the same room, but when we get this new shit, we are going to sound like Joe Rogan because I literally watched a YouTube video of what Joe Rogan has, and that's what I ordered. With the exception of his fucking $4,000 desk he's got, I'm not paying that for a desk. That's not happening. With all his little boom arms and fucking pop filters and shit like that. We've got the same mics as him. We got a thing called a cloud amplifier that you plug into the end of your mic and makes your audio sound amazing. We've got the same recorder he uses. We've got pretty much everything is the exact same. The same exact headphones they use, which were surprisingly not as expensive as I thought. Probably about a quarter of the price of a pair of Beats. We've got a table. We've got three mics coming in, so we'll have room for one guest every show if we so choose. 3 computer chairs, a desk, fucking whole 9 yards. My sister's gonna make us up a little decal. And then we're probably going, Josh came up with the idea today to hang a TV in the background, maybe mount it on the wall behind us. And you can see what we're looking up on our computers, whatever. But it'll be pretty badass. So you guys stay tuned for that. It's a work in progress. Hopefully sometime in July, for sure. We're shooting for that.
And we're going to kind of be looking at like changing the format and how many times a week we record because honestly, I know everybody, you sit there and be like, oh, well, they dropped 5 podcasts this week. And then the next week we don't do any. And
yeah, we're going to be consistent.
It's because we get, I mean, obviously.
Our work schedules now are shit. Josh is working like a split shift, and I'm working strictly day shift. So when I get off at 4:30. I come home, shower, I eat dinner. I'm winding down about 8 o'clock. That's when Josh is getting off. He's still got to go home, shower, eat him some dinner. Shit, luckily tonight we decided to record. I don't even think we started till almost 9 o'clock. Normally I'm asleep right now, but I got off early from work today, took me a little power nap. Now I'm good to go, but I'm starting to get weary right now. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. But anyway, y'all stay tuned for this format and be patient with us. It may be shitty at first, but I promise you, I will work tirelessly until I figure out how to fucking do it. And I'll watch endless amounts of YouTube videos till I figure it out.
We're going to work so hard on this podcast that one day this is all we do.
Oh, dude,
and then we don't have to work these off shifts. And then we're going to move to LA and we're going to.
And all you fuckers that were on our podcast to start with, we'll bring you back. We'll fly you to fucking LA when we're rich and famous. We'll fly you out there to do a fucking secondary interview. What do you think about us now? You fucking laughed at us. Lick my balls, bitch. Bow before me. Nah, we would never do that.
Peace.
All right, guys. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, subscribe on all platforms. Tell a friend. And if you guys are interested in coming on our new video version, this is how we're going to do it. I'll upload it to YouTube first, and I'll share it on YouTube. And then the same day, it's going to come out on the audio formats as well. But I'll just take the audio straight from the YouTube video and upload it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, just like we always do. So those of you that like to catch up with us while you're doing your little errands around town, you'll still be able to do that. But if you want to see us, and I mean see us, we're beautiful people, guys. We are.
You ain't lying.
You'll have that option as well. I think it's a great way to do it. So anyway,
it's going to be extremely fun. We'll be able to feed off of each other's energy. And if any of y'all know me and Tate, when we get around each other, we know there's no thought process into what comes out of our mouths. So y'all definitely have to. We'll definitely have, or at least me and Tate will be having fun. I don't know about y'all. Y'all might.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, if you're not having fun, then I don't know what the fuck y'all are doing. But yeah, we'll probably be canceling the first week, but it'll still be fun. Anyway, that's all the time we got for today. Y'all have a great week. Go kick the rest of the week's ass and have a good weekend. Peace.
Holla.
Thanks for tuning into the B-Max Sports Podcast.
40, run, Lindsay, 25, 20, 50, 10, 5, Lindsay, stop.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Listen, my whole family loves it, man.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
We'll see you next week.
Go rock this thing, huh? Love you, man. Let's go get it.